The phone feels like a block of ice in my hand, a conduit to a world I have only ever seen in whispered warnings and sensationalist headlines. The air in the back office of the diner is thick with the smell of stale coffee and grease, a scent that normally means the end of a long shift, but tonight it smells like the end of everything else. My heart hammers a frantic rhythm against my ribs, a wild bird trapped in a cage of my own making. I stare at the little girl, Sofia, who sits on a stack of dusty phone books, her small legs swinging. Her dark curls are matted with something sticky, and a tear has traced a clean path through the grime on her cheek. She looks at me with eyes so dark and deep they seem to hold the entirety of the city's shadows. "He'll be angry," she whispers, her voice a fragile wisp of sound. "It's okay," I lie, my own voice trembling so badly I barely recognize it. "He'll be happy you're safe." I don't believe my own words. Men like him are never just happy. They are storms, forces of nature that leave wreckage in their wake. The number she gave me is seared into my brain, a sequence of digits that feels like a countdown to oblivion. I press the call button before I can lose my nerve completely. It rings once, a single, sharp, metallic sound that cuts through the hum of the old refrigerator. Then the line connects. There is no greeting, just a profound, expectant silence that sucks the air from my lungs. "Hello?" I manage, my voice cracking. "You have my daughter?" The voice is not a question. It is a statement of fact, a claim of ownership. It is lower than I expected, a gravelly rumble that seems to vibrate through the phone and directly into my bones. It is the sound of absolute authority, of power so immense it needs no introduction. Every syllable is clipped, precise, and laced with a terrifying stillness, the calm at the eye of a hurricane. I can picture him instantly, a suit tailored to perfection, a face carved from stone, eyes that miss nothing and forgive less. "Yes," I say, my throat tight. She's here, at the Starlight Diner on 6th. She's safe." "Do not move," he commands. "Do not speak to anyone. Do not let her out of your sight. I am 10 minutes away." The line goes dead. Not a click, just an abrupt absence of sound, as if he simply willed the connection to cease. I pull the phone away from my ear, my hand shaking so violently I nearly drop it. 10 minutes. It feels like a death sentence. 10 minutes until the devil himself walks through the door of this greasy spoon diner. I look at Sofia, this tiny, lost child who holds the key to the city's underworld, and a wave of protective instinct washes over me, so fierce it momentarily eclipses my fear. I made a choice in that alleyway. I chose to help her. And now I have to face the consequences. I spend those 10 minutes in a state of suspended animation. I lock the back office door, a flimsy piece of wood that would offer no resistance to a man like him. I find a damp cloth and gently wipe the grime from Sofia's face. She flinches at first, then leans into my touch, her small body relaxing almost imperceptibly. Her trust is a sharp, painful thing, a shard of glass in my heart. She has no idea what she's brought to my door, or perhaps she does, and that's why she looks so broken. "What's your name?" she asks, her voice a little stronger now. "Natalie," I tell her, forcing a smile that feels brittle. "I like that name," she says, and for a moment she's just a little girl, not the heir to a criminal empire. Exactly 9 minutes later, the gentle jingle of the bell above the diner's front door is drowned out by the sound of 2 black cars screeching to a halt outside. They are sleek, predatory things, their tinted windows like the eyes of sharks. My boss, Mr. Henderson, a man whose greatest concern is usually someone skipping out on a check, peeks through the blinds, and his face turns a pasty white. He backs away from the window as if he's seen a ghost. The diner door opens, and the world seems to tilt on its axis. He doesn't walk in so much as he commands the space to bend around him. He is taller than I imagined, broader. His suit is charcoal gray, a perfect frame for a body built with lethal purpose. His hair is as black as a raven's wing, and his face is a masterpiece of contradictions. It is brutally handsome, with a strong jaw and a straight nose, but it is also entirely devoid of warmth. His eyes, the same fathomless dark as his daughter's, sweep the empty diner before they land on me. Standing frozen in the doorway to the back office, he sees me, and in that instant, I feel stripped bare. Every fear, every inadequacy, every overdue bill and broken dream laid out for his inspection. He doesn't look at me like a person. He looks at me like a problem to be solved, or an asset to be acquired. Two other men, giants in their own right, flank him, their hands inside their jackets. They are his shadow, his extensions of will. He moves toward me. He doesn't rush, but every step is deliberate, eating up the space between us with an unnerving grace. The worn linoleum floor doesn't dare creak beneath his expensive leather shoes. The smell of rain and a subtle, clean cologne, something like sandalwood and steel, cuts through the diner's stale air. "Papa!" Sofia's cry breaks the spell. She scrambles down from the phone books and runs past me, a tiny projectile of desperation and relief. He catches her in one smooth motion, scooping her into his arms. For a fraction of a second, his face changes. The stone cracks. A flicker of raw, unguarded emotion, pure, undiluted love, softens the hard lines around his mouth. He buries his face in her hair, his massive shoulders slumping in relief. It is a moment of such profound vulnerability that I feel like an intruder for witnessing it. Then, just as quickly, the mask is back in place. He lifts his head, his dark eyes locking onto mine over the top of his daughter's curls. The moment is over. The storm is back. "You," he says, and my name is a verdict. "You are Natalie." I can only nod, my throat having closed up completely. My pulse is a frantic drum against the sudden, suffocating silence. He is still holding Sofia, one large, powerful hand splayed protectively across her back, but his attention is entirely, terrifyingly on me. "What did you see?" His voice is low, controlled, but the threat beneath it is as sharp as a razor's edge. He's not asking about Sofia. He's asking what I know, what I witnessed in that alley, what I might represent. "Nothing," I whisper, the word catching in my throat. "Just her. She was alone, crying." His eyes narrow, searching my face for any hint of deception. I feel like a butterfly pinned to a board, my every twitch and tremor under his microscope. The air crackles with unspoken danger. He is a predator, and I have stumbled into his territory, holding his most precious possession. "She was supposed to be with her guard," he says, his voice dropping even lower, a dangerous growl that sends a shiver down my spine. He isn't speaking to me, but to himself, a promise of retribution for the one who failed. He shifts Sofia in his arms, settling her on his hip. She clings to him, hiding her face in the crook of his neck, her fear a palpable thing. "Tell me everything," he commands, his gaze pinning me in place. So I do. I tell him about my break, the overflowing dumpster, the small sound I almost dismissed as a stray cat. I describe finding Sofia huddled behind the grease trap, her dress torn, her face streaked with tears. I tell him how she gave me his number, her small voice full of a certainty that chilled me to the bone. I leave out the part about my own paralyzing fear, about the fact that I knew exactly who Dante Moretti was, the boogeyman of the city's elite, the shadow that owned politicians and judges, the man whose name was only ever spoken in hushed, fearful tones. He listens without interruption, his expression unreadable. The only sign of his inner turmoil is the slight tightening of his jaw, a muscle twitching just below his ear. When I finish, the silence stretches, thick and heavy. "You did not call the police," he states. It is not a question. It's an observation, and it hangs in the air between us, heavy with meaning. "She asked me not to," I say simply. "She asked me to call you." A flicker of something, surprise, respect, crosses his features before it's gone. He looks from me to his daughter, then back to me. His mind is clearly working, calculating, assessing. I am a loose end. A witness, a complication in his meticulously controlled world. People like me disappear. The thought sends a fresh wave of ice through my veins. "You will come with us," he says. The words are not a request. They are an edict. My heart plummets. What? Why? I haven't done anything. "You found my daughter when my own security failed," he says, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "That makes you either extremely lucky or extremely dangerous. Until I determine which, you are a person of interest." My boss, Mr. Henderson, who has been trying to make himself invisible behind the counter, lets out a small squeak. One of Dante's men turns his head slightly, a silent warning that freezes the poor man in place. "I have a job," I protest, my voice thin and reedy. "A life. I can't just leave." Dante Moretti raises a single dark eyebrow. "You think you have a choice?" The sheer arrogance of it, the absolute certainty of his power, sends a spark of anger through my fear. "You can't just take me." "I can do anything I want," he replies, the words so soft they are more menacing than any shout. He shifts his gaze to Mr. Henderson. "She quits. Pay her whatever you owe her. Now." Mr. Henderson fumbles with the cash register, his hands shaking as he pulls out a pathetic handful of crumpled bills. My week's wages and tips. It's barely enough to cover my rent, a laughable sum in the face of the wealth radiating from the man in front of me. Dante's eyes flick to the meager pile of cash in my boss's hand, and a look of faint disgust crosses his face. He reaches into his own jacket, pulls out a thick black wallet, and extracts a stack of $100 bills so thick it's a wonder it folded. He tosses it onto the counter. It lands with a soft, obscene thud. "For your trouble," he says to Henderson, his tone dismissive. Then his eyes are back on me. "Let's go." There is no room for argument. The two men who came in with him position themselves on either side of me, not touching me, but their presence is a cage. I feel the last vestiges of my old life, my crummy apartment, my mountain of debt, my lonely existence, slipping away. I am being erased. As they escort me out of the diner, past the wide, terrified eyes of my now former boss, the cold night air hits me. It feels different now, charged with a new kind of danger. Sofia is already being strapped into a car seat in the back of the first car, a vehicle that looks more like an armored truck than a luxury sedan. Dante holds the door for me. It's a strangely courteous gesture from a man who is effectively kidnapping me. I hesitate on the curb, the worn-out soles of my waitress shoes on the edge of a precipice. "Get in, Natalie," he says, and the sound of my name on his lips is both a caress and a command. It sounds like he owns it, like he owns me. I get in the car. The door closes with a heavy final thud, sealing me inside with the city's most feared man and his silent, watchful daughter. The interior smells of rich leather and his cologne. It's a cage, but it's a gilded one. As the car pulls away from the curb, leaving the Starlight Diner and my entire life behind, I look at his reflection in the tinted window. His face is impassive, his eyes on the road ahead, but I know he is aware of my every breath. I found his daughter, and in doing so, I have become his prisoner. The drive is silent, a tense journey through the glittering, indifferent city. The streets I know so well, the ones I walk every day, counting my tips and worrying about bills, look alien from behind the bulletproof glass. We ascend into the hills overlooking the city, where the houses become fortresses and the air grows thin and rarefied. We pass through a set of immense iron gates, manned by armed guards who nod respectfully at Dante's car. The driveway is long and winding, flanked by ancient oak trees, whose branches seem to claw at the sky. The house isn't a house. It's a modern fortress of glass, steel, and dark stone, clinging to the cliffside like a bird of prey. It is magnificent and terrifying, a monument to power and isolation. Lights blaze from within, but they offer no warmth, only a stark, sterile illumination. Inside, the silence is even more profound. The decor is minimalist and masculine, all sharp lines, dark woods, and cool marble. It is a home designed by someone who values control above all else. A woman with silver hair pulled into a severe bun, dressed in a crisp black uniform, greets us at the door. Her face is grim, but her eyes, when they land on Sofia, soften with relief. "Elena," Dante says, his voice echoing in the cavernous foyer. "Take Sofia to her room. Get her a warm bath and something to eat." "Of course, Mr. Moretti," the woman, Elena, says. She reaches for Sofia, who clings to her father for a moment longer before allowing herself to be led away. Sofia looks back at me once, her small face a mixture of fear and a strange, nascent trust. Then we are alone. Just me and Dante Moretti in the echoing silence of his marble palace. He hasn't looked at me since we got out of the car. He walks over to a vast window that overlooks the sprawling city lights below. He stands with his back to me, a formidable silhouette against the glittering darkness. "Why are you really keeping me here?" I ask, my voice steadier than I feel. The adrenaline has faded, leaving behind a cold, hard knot of dread. "Security," he says without turning around. "My daughter was taken from my property, from under the watch of a man who has protected my family for 20 years. There is a traitor in my house, Natalie. Until I find out who it is, everyone is a suspect, and you are an anomaly." "An anomaly?" He finally turns to face me. His eyes are dark, intense, and they seem to see right through me. "You have no connections to my world, no criminal record. You live a quiet, unremarkable life. You work double shifts to pay off your deceased parents' medical debt. You are, for all intents and purposes, invisible." He says it like he's read a file on me, which he probably has. The thought is deeply unsettling. And yet, you were in the right place at the right time, or the wrong one. I need to know which. It was a coincidence, I insist. I was taking out the trash. "There are no coincidences in my life," he says, his voice dangerously soft. "Only actions and consequences." He takes a step closer, and I have to fight the urge to back away. "Sofia likes you. She is fragile since her mother's death. She doesn't trust easily, but she trusted you." The mention of her mother hangs in the air, a ghost in this cold, empty house. It explains the sadness in Sofia's eyes, the crushing weight of responsibility on Dante's shoulders. She was scared, I say. Any child would be. Perhaps, he concedes, his eyes never leaving my face. For now, you will stay here. You will be Sofia's companion. You will not leave her side. You will eat with her, play with her, sleep in the room connected to hers. You will be her shadow. In return, you will be well compensated, and your debt will be cleared. My jaw drops. The debt. The suffocating weight that has dictated every choice I've made for the last 3 years. He speaks of erasing it as casually as one might order a coffee. And if I say no, I challenge, though the word feels like ash in my mouth. A ghost of a smile touches his lips, but it doesn't reach his eyes. I wasn't asking. And there it is, the iron fist in the velvet glove. I am a prisoner, given a title, companion, and a gilded cage. He is offering me a solution to all my problems, but the price is my freedom, my life. What do you want from me? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. I want you to keep my daughter safe, he says, his voice laced with a raw intensity that surprises me. And I want to watch you. I want to know who you are. And if you are what you seem, you have nothing to fear from me. But that's the thing. I am already terrified of him. I'm terrified of his power, of the darkness that clings to him like a shroud, and most of all, of the strange, unwilling pull I feel towards the broken man hiding beneath the monster's skin. Elena shows me to my room. It's more like a suite, decorated in muted tones of cream and gray, with a bed that looks like a cloud and a private bathroom bigger than my old apartment. A set of double doors, currently open, connect to an identical, though more colorfully decorated room. Sofia's room. She's already asleep in her bed, a small lump under a mountain of blankets, her face relaxed in a way it hadn't been before. She looks peaceful, safe. Mr. Moretti has had some clothes provided for you, Elena says, her voice neutral as she indicates a walk-in closet filled with designer labels, all in my size. The casual display of wealth is dizzying. He has not only taken over my life, he has curated it. Thank you, I murmur, feeling utterly out of my depth. Elena pauses at the door. He is not an easy man, Mr. Moretti, she says, her voice low. Not since the Signora, since his wife passed, but he loves that child more than life itself. The person who did this, who put her in danger, may God have mercy on their soul, because the master will not. She leaves, closing the door softly behind her. I am left standing in the middle of this luxurious prison, the silence pressing in on me. I walk to the connecting doors and watch Sofia sleep. This is my new reality. I am the keeper of a mafia boss's daughter, a pawn in a dangerous game I don't understand. And my jailer is a man who looks at me as if he's trying to decide whether to save me or destroy me. The first few days are a blur of surreal domesticity, set against a backdrop of constant, simmering tension. I live by Sofia's schedule. We wake up, we eat breakfast prepared by a silent chef in a kitchen the size of a restaurant. We play in a room filled with more toys than any child could ever want. And we read stories in a library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. It's a life of unimaginable luxury, and I have never felt more trapped. Dante is a ghost in his own home. He leaves before we wake and returns long after Sofia is asleep. I only ever see him in passing, a dark shape disappearing into his office, the low rumble of his voice on the phone from behind a closed door. Yet his presence is everywhere, in the way the staff defers to my smallest request, in the armed guards patrolling the perimeter, in the unnerving feeling that I am constantly being watched. My only real connection is with Sofia. She is a solemn child, prone to long silences, but slowly she begins to open up to me. She shows me her favorite books and tells me about her mother, who loved to paint and who smelled like gardenias. She speaks of her in the present tense, as if she has just stepped out of the room. It's heartbreaking. I find myself growing fiercely protective of this sad little girl, and in caring for her, I find a strange sense of purpose in this gilded cage. One afternoon, we are in the garden, a manicured oasis of green that feels a world away from the city below. Sofia is trying to teach me a complicated clapping game, and for the first time, I hear her laugh. It's a bright, silvery sound that startles both of us. A shadow falls over us. I look up to see Dante standing there, watching us. He is out of his usual suit, dressed in a simple black Henley that stretches across his broad chest and dark trousers. He looks younger, less like a crime lord and more like just a man. An incredibly intimidating man, but a man nonetheless. I haven't heard her laugh like that in a long time, he says, his voice quiet. Sofia runs to him, and he lifts her into his arms effortlessly. She babbles excitedly about our game, and he listens with a focused intensity that he seems to give to everything. His eyes, however, are on me. You are good with her, he says. It sounds like an accusation. She's a good kid, I reply, my heart beating a little faster under his scrutiny. She just needs a friend. He nods slowly, a thoughtful expression on his face. Her last nanny. She was let go 2 weeks ago. My sister recommended her. I'm beginning to question my sister's judgment. The words are casual, but the underlying message is clear. He is investigating. He is hunting the traitor. Later that evening, a storm rolls in from the coast. The sky turns a bruised purple, and the wind howls around the stone fortress, rattling the immense glass windows. The power flickers once, twice, then dies completely, plunging the house into a sudden, shocking darkness. Sofia screams. I rush into her room, my hands outstretched in the pitch black, guided by the sound of her terrified sobs. I find her bed and gather her into my arms. It's okay, sweetie. I'm here. It's just a storm. I don't like the dark, she wails, clinging to me. It's when the monsters come. Before I can soothe her further, the door to her room opens, and a powerful beam from a flashlight cuts through the darkness, followed by Dante's commanding presence. The generator will kick in a moment, he says, his voice calm and steady. He walks over to the bed, the flashlight beam illuminating our small huddle. He looks at me holding his daughter, my arms wrapped around her trembling body, and for a moment, the world narrows to just the three of us in this circle of light. She is afraid of storms, he says, his voice softer now. Her mother. The accident was during a storm. The confession hangs in the air, a piece of his broken past offered up in the darkness. It's the first real thing he has told me about himself, the first crack in his impenetrable armor. My heart aches for him, for this little girl, for the tragedy that haunts this beautiful, empty house. Just then, the lights hum back to life, flooding the room with a soft, warm glow. The emergency generator has started. Dante is closer than I realized, close enough that I can see the faint stubble on his jaw, the exhaustion etched around his eyes. He is looking at me with an expression I can't decipher, a mixture of gratitude, suspicion, and something else, something deeper and more unsettling. Thank you, he says, the words sounding foreign on his tongue. He reaches out as if to touch my shoulder, but then seems to think better of it, letting his hand drop back to his side. The aborted gesture is more intimate than any touch. That night, I lie awake in my own bed, listening to the storm rage outside. I think about the look in his eyes, the raw vulnerability he let me see for just a second. I came here as a prisoner, a complication. But tonight in the dark, something shifted. I am no longer just an observer in his world. I am a part of it, and that thought is more terrifying than any storm. The weeks that follow settle into a strange rhythm. The invisible walls of my prison begin to feel less like a cage and more like a sanctuary. The outside world, with its bills and its loneliness, fades into a distant memory. My world has shrunk to the confines of this estate, to the sound of a little girl's laughter and the heavy tread of her father's footsteps in the hall. Dante remains a powerful, enigmatic presence, but the ice between us is beginning to thaw. He starts coming home earlier, joining Sofia and me for dinner. These meals are tense, formal affairs at first, held in a dining room so large our voices echo, but slowly the space begins to shrink. Sofia, emboldened by my presence, chatters away, bridging the silence between us. She tells her father about our day, about the frog we found in the garden, or the funny picture I drew of Elena, the housekeeper. Dante listens, his stern expression softening as he watches his daughter. And he watches me, always. His gaze is a physical weight, a constant assessment. He's looking for a crack, a flaw, a hint of the deception he is so certain is lurking somewhere. But I have nothing to hide. My life was an open, boring book, and he's slowly turning the pages. One evening, after Sofia is asleep, I find him in the library. He's not reading, just standing by the fireplace, a glass of amber liquid in his hand, staring into the flames. The firelight dances across the hard planes of his face, making him look less like a gangster and more like a tragic lord from one of the classic novels on the shelves around us. I can't sleep, I say, hovering in the doorway. He doesn't seem surprised to see me. He gestures to the armchair opposite his. Join me. I sit, my hands clasped nervously in my lap. The silence is comfortable, a shared quiet that feels different from the tense silences of before. The only sounds are the crackling of the fire and the distant howl of the wind. My investigators have a lead, he says suddenly, his eyes still on the fire. The guard who was supposed to be with Sofia. He had a gambling problem, a deep one. He owed the wrong people a lot of money. My blood runs cold. So they took her? For his debt? No, Dante says, and now he looks at me, his eyes burning with a cold fire. The debt was a lever. Someone used it to force him to look the other way for 5 minutes. That's all it took. Who? I breathe. That is the question, he says, taking a slow sip of his drink. Someone who wanted to send me a message. Someone who wanted to show me that I am vulnerable, that my family is not untouchable. He looks away, back to the flames. It is my cousin, Marco. I am almost certain of it. The name drops into the quiet room like a stone. Family. The betrayal is always deepest when it comes from within. He has always been jealous, Dante continues, his voice a low monotone, as if he is reciting a history he knows by heart. He thinks my father favored me. He believes our empire should be his. What are you going to do? I ask, my voice small. I am going to prove it, he says, the finality in his tone sending a shiver down my spine. And then I am going to remove him. Permanently. The blunt, brutal honesty of it steals my breath. This is the man beneath the surface, the one who deals in death as easily as other men deal in stocks and bonds. I should be repulsed. I should be terrified. And I am. but I also see the pain driving him, the fierce, desperate need to protect his child, the only good thing left in his life. Why are you telling me this? I ask. He finally meets my gaze, and his eyes are dark with a conflict I don't understand. Because you are in the center of it now, and because I find I do not wish to lie to you. His honesty is a strange, dangerous gift. It draws me in, makes me a confidant, an accomplice. It blurs the line between captive and partner. He is trusting me with a secret that could get him killed or sent to prison for life. And in doing so, he is binding me to him in a way that no contract or threat ever could. Be careful, Dante, I whisper, using his first name for the first time. It feels both forbidden and incredibly natural on my tongue. His expression doesn't change, but something shifts in his eyes, a flicker of warmth. I always am. The following Saturday, Dante announces we are going to a charity gala. Not a request, a statement. I don't have anything to wear to a gala, I say. The idea of being on display in his world sending a wave of anxiety through me. It's been taken care of, he says, his tone leaving no room for argument. And it has. A stylist arrives that afternoon with a rack of designer gowns. I feel like a doll being dressed up for a part I don't know how to play. I choose a simple, elegant dress of deep sapphire silk. It feels like armor. When I walk down the grand staircase that evening, Dante is waiting at the bottom. He is devastatingly handsome in a black tuxedo. He looks up as I descend, and for the first time, I see him look at me not as a puzzle to be solved or a guardian for his child, but as a woman. His eyes travel from my face, down the line of my throat, to the way the silk clings to my body. He visibly swallows. You look, he starts, then stops, as if the right word eludes him. Stunning. The compliment, so uncharacteristic, makes my cheeks burn. He offers me his arm, and his touch sends a jolt of electricity through me. His hand is warm and strong against my bare skin. As we walk to the car, I feel the shift. Tonight I am not the nanny. I am the woman on the arm of Dante Moretti, and I'm not sure which role is more dangerous. The gala is a glittering pit of vipers. The wealth in the room could solve world hunger, but the smiles are sharp and the eyes are cold. I am acutely aware of the whispers that follow us, the curious and envious glances. I am the mystery woman on the arm of the city's most powerful recluse, a woman with fiery red hair and a dress that seems poured onto her body, detaches herself from a group and slinks toward us. Her smile is predatory. Dante, darling, she purrs, ignoring me completely. I thought you'd sworn off these tedious affairs. Isabella, he says, his voice flat. Business requires my presence. And who is your business? She asks, her eyes the color of emeralds, finally flicking to me with undisguised disdain. She is the rival. I know it instantly. This is Natalie Donovan, Dante says, his hand tightening almost imperceptibly on my arm. A close family friend. The lie is so smooth, so possessive. Family friend. He is claiming me, marking his territory in front of this woman. Isabella's smile tightens. How charming. You must be very special to have captured Dante's attention. He doesn't usually bother with strays. The insult is a direct hit, designed to wound and humiliate. Before I can even formulate a response, Dante steps slightly in front of me, a subtle, protective movement. Isabella, he says, his voice dropping to that lethally soft tone I know so well. You are mistaken. Natalie is not a stray. She is my guest, and you will treat her with respect, or you and I will have a problem. The threat is unmistakable. Isabella's face pales slightly beneath her perfect makeup. She forces a brittle laugh. Of course, darling. I was only teasing. She gives me one last venomous look before gliding away. Dante turns to me, his dark eyes searching my face. Are you all right? I'm fine, I say, though my heart is pounding. He defended me. He shielded me from the sharks in his own dangerous waters. It's a small thing, a public gesture, but it feels monumental. He is no longer just my jailer. He is my protector. Later that evening, we are standing on a terrace overlooking the city. The noise of the party is a dull roar behind us. You should have let me handle her, I say quietly. I'm not a child. I know, he says, turning to lean against the balustrade facing me. But in my world, perception is reality. Letting her insult you would be a sign of weakness, and I cannot afford to show weakness. He pauses, his gaze intense. Not with you. My breath catches. Not with you. The implication is staggering. He sees me as an extension of himself, my reputation tied to his. Why? I whisper. He takes a step closer, closing the space between us. He smells of night air and that intoxicating sandalwood cologne. Because when I look at you, Natalie, weakness is the last thing I see. I see the woman who stood in a dark alley and protected my daughter without a moment's hesitation. I see the woman who walks into my empty house and fills it with laughter. I see strength you don't even know you have. He reaches up and his thumb gently brushes a stray strand of hair from my cheek. His touch is feather light, but it sets my skin on fire. My carefully constructed walls, the ones I built to protect myself from him, crumble to dust. In this moment, he is not the monster, not the Mafia boss. He is just a man, lonely and damaged, who sees something in me that no one else ever has. Dante, I breathe, my voice trembling. He leans in, his eyes dropping to my lips. My heart stops. This is it, the turning point. The moment when everything changes, when the lines blur beyond recognition. Papa! The cry comes from the doorway to the terrace. A man is standing there holding a phone. It's one of Dante's guards. His face pale with panic. Dante straightens up instantly, the moment shattered. The hard mask slams back into place. What is it? It's Elena from the house, the guard says, his voice shaking. There's been a break-in. Sofia. She's gone. The world dissolves into a vortex of pure, cold terror. The words hit me with the force of a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. Gone. The one word I never thought I'd hear. The one possibility that was supposed to be impossible within the walls of that fortress. Dante's reaction is terrifying in its stillness. All color drains from his face, leaving it a mask of stone. But his eyes are burning with a black, apocalyptic rage that promises to consume the world. The intimacy of the moment before is incinerated, replaced by the cold, lethal killer he truly is. Marco, he snarls, the name a curse. He doesn't need proof. He knows. He turns, not to me, but to his guard. His voice is preternaturally calm, the kind of calm that precedes a cataclysm. Get the car. Alert the teams. I want every exit from this city sealed. I want eyes on every property Marco owns, frequents, or has even glanced at. I want him found, and I want him alive. The last word is laced with a promise of unimaginable suffering. He starts to stride away, a force of pure, destructive will. Dante, wait, I call, running after him. He stops, but doesn't turn. Go back to the house. Stay with Elena. You'll be safe there. He is dismissing me, pushing me to the sidelines back into the role of the helpless charge. No, I say, my voice ringing with a strength I didn't know I possessed. I'm coming with you. Now he turns, and the look on his face is thunderous. This is not a game, Natalie. This is my world. It is violent and it is ugly. You have no place in it. Sofia is my world too, I retort, my fear fueling my defiance. I've been with her every day. I know her. I know what she's afraid of, what she might do. Maybe I can help. You can't just lock me away when she needs me. He stares at me, his jaw tight, a war raging in his eyes. He is a man used to absolute obedience, a man who protects what is his by locking it away. But I am not one of his possessions. Not anymore. I am the woman he just admitted to seeing strength in. He will use her against you, I press on, my voice dropping, pleading. He might try to use me against you. Isn't it better to have me by your side, where you can see me, than to leave me as a potential target? My logic, born of desperation, seems to hit its mark. The fury in his eyes is tempered by a flicker of cold calculation. He knows I'm right. Leaving me behind creates another vulnerability. Get in the car, he says, his voice clipped. But you do exactly as I say. You do not speak unless spoken to. You do not move without my permission. Do you understand? I understand, I say, my heart hammering with a mixture of terror and a strange, wild relief. The ride is a silent, high-speed descent into hell. Dante is on the phone, his voice a low, deadly staccato, as he issues a stream of commands in Italian. I don't understand the words, but I understand the tone. He is unleashing his entire organization, a sleeping dragon awakened and breathing fire. He is dismantling his cousin's life piece by piece, hunting him through the city's digital and physical veins. I sit beside him, twisting my hands in my lap, my mind racing. I try to think like Sofia. Where would she hide? What would she do? She's smart, but she's just a little girl. My mind snags on something she said once, during a game of hide and seek. We were in the garden, and she'd hidden in an old, forgotten groundskeeper's shed at the far end of the property. This was Mommy's secret place, she had told me. We used to have picnics here. It's a long shot, a wild, desperate guess, but Marco wouldn't know about it. He would have taken her out of the house, to one of his own properties. But what if she got away? What if, in the chaos of the break-in, she ran? She wouldn't run toward the house, toward the danger. She would run to the one place she felt safe, the one place that belonged to her mother. Dante, I say, my voice cutting through his rapid-fire Italian. He holds up a hand, dismissing me, but I grab his arm. The contact is electric. He freezes, his phone conversation faltering, and turns to look at me. His eyes are black holes of fury. What? He snaps. The shed, I say, my words tumbling out. In the garden, the old groundskeeper's shed. She told me it was her mother's secret place. If she got away from him, she might have gone there. She would run there. He stares at me, his expression unreadable. For a second, I think he's going to dismiss it as childish fancy, but then I see the shift. He knows his daughter. He knows her connection to her mother. He knows it's exactly the kind of thing she would do. He barks an order into the phone in Italian, then another. The car, which had been heading downtown, screeches into a U-turn, tires protesting against the asphalt, and speeds back toward the hills, back toward the house. He hangs up the phone and turns to me, his hand covering mine where it still grips his arm. If you are right, Natalie, he says, his voice thick with an emotion I can't name. If you are right. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't have to. We arrive back at the estate to a scene of controlled chaos. More black cars line the driveway, and grim-faced men are swarming the property. Dante is out of the car before it even comes to a complete stop, me right behind him. He doesn't wait for his men. He runs. He runs toward the garden, and I run with him, my silk dress catching on rose bushes, my heels sinking into the soft earth. The shed is at the very back of the property, partially hidden by an overgrown wisteria vine. It's small and dilapidated, the paint peeling. The door is slightly ajar. Dante stops, his body tensing. He pulls a gun from the small of his back. The sight of it is shocking, a brutal piece of reality in the fairy tale garden. He motions for me to stay back, but I shake my head, planting my feet. I am not leaving. He approaches the shed with a predator's silence, gun raised. He kicks the door open. It's empty. A wave of despair crashes over me. I was wrong. My hope, so fierce and bright just moments ago, gutters and dies. But then I hear it, a tiny, muffled sob. Dante hears it too. His eyes dart around the small, cluttered space. The sound is coming from an old wooden chest in the corner. He moves toward it, his gun still raised, and slowly lifts the lid. And there she is, curled into a tight ball, her face stained with tears, her small body trembling. Sofia. She is safe. She is here. Papa, she whispers, her eyes wide with fear and relief. The gun in Dante's hand lowers. The tension drains out of him in one massive, shuddering exhale. He drops to his knees, gathering her into his arms, burying his face in her hair. His shoulders shake with silent, suppressed sobs. The monster is gone. The king is gone. All that's left is a father, holding his entire world in his arms. I stand in the doorway, my own tears blurring my vision, and watch as he murmurs to her in soft, soothing Italian. He is thanking God, thanking her mother, thanking anyone who is listening. He looks up, and his eyes find mine over Sofia's head. They are filled with a raw, profound gratitude that transcends words. In that moment, we are no longer captor and captive. Employer and employee, we are two people who love this little girl, a united front forged in terror and relief. He trusted me. He listened to me. And I was right. The aftermath is swift and brutal. Dante's men find Marco trying to flee the city. I don't ask what happens to him. I don't want to know. The coldness in Dante's eyes when he returns tells me everything. The traitor has been removed. The threat has been neutralized. Life at the fortress returns to a semblance of normality, but everything is different. The tension is gone, replaced by a quiet, watchful peace. The guards are still there, but they no longer feel like my jailers. They feel like protectors. The house itself, once a cold and empty palace, is starting to feel like a home. A few days later, Dante finds me by the pool. Sofia is having her swimming lesson, her happy shouts echoing in the warm afternoon air. I am watching her, a genuine smile on my face. The debt has been paid, Dante says, his voice quiet beside me. All of it. The transfer was made this morning. Your parents' names are cleared. I turn to him, my heart clenching. Oh, I've also arranged for a severance package, he continues, his eyes fixed on his daughter. Enough for you to start over, buy a small house. Go back to school if you want, whatever you choose. A car will be ready to take you back to the city whenever you are ready. He is setting me free. This is what I should want. This is the end of the fairy tale, or the nightmare. I am free to go back to my old life, only without the crushing weight that defined it. But the thought of leaving, of walking away from Sofia's laughter, from the quiet companionship of the library fires, from the charged glances and unspoken understanding with this complicated, dangerous man, the thought is unbearable. My old life doesn't exist anymore. I don't fit there. You're firing me? I ask. my attempt at a joke falling flat, he finally looks at me, and his face is serious, his eyes searching mine. I am releasing you from our arrangement. You held up your end of the bargain. You kept my daughter safe. You saved her. I owe you a debt I can never repay. So you're just letting me go, I say, a hollow feeling spreading through my chest. You were never my prisoner, Natalie, he says softly. Not really. You were a puzzle I needed to solve, a risk I needed to manage. But now, he trails off, looking back at the pool. Sofia adores you. She is happier than I have seen her since before. And he takes a deep breath. This house is less empty with you in it. It's the closest he can come to a confession. It's more than I ever expected. So what now? I ask, my voice trembling. I just pack my new designer clothes and go. A faint smile touches his lips. The clothes are yours, of course, and the choice is yours. You can leave. You are free. No one will stop you. He pauses, and the air between us becomes thick with unspoken words. He steps closer, his gaze so intense it feels like a physical touch. Or you can stay. Stay? I whisper. As what? The nanny? No, he says, his voice a low growl. He reaches out, his hand gently cupping my jaw, his thumb stroking my cheek. The gesture is possessive, tender. Stay as Natalie. Stay and we can see what this is. This thing between us. No contracts, no arrangements. Just this. This is the moment, the final choice. The original pact is rendered void. He is offering me a new one, based not on necessity or fear, but on a fragile, budding emotion that neither of us dares to name. He is offering me a place at his side, not behind him or beneath him. He is asking me to choose his world, to choose him. I look past him to Sofia, who is waving at me from the water, her face bright with joy. I look at this powerful, broken man who found a way to trust someone for the first time in years. I think of my old life, the gray loneliness of it, and I think of this new life, filled with danger and shadows, but also with laughter and a fierce protective love. It's not an easy choice. It's a terrifying one. But my heart has already made it. Okay, I say, my voice clear and steady. I lean into his touch, my decision solidifying with the simple word, I'll stay. The relief that washes over his face is staggering. It's like watching a mountain move. The hard lines of his face soften. The constant tension in his shoulders eases. He leans down and his lips finally meet mine. The kiss is not what I expected. It is not rough or demanding. It is hesitant at first, questioning as if he can't believe this is real. Then, as I kiss him back, as I pour all my fear and hope and longing into it, it deepens. It is a kiss of gratitude, of promises, of a shared future that is uncertain and dangerous, but a future we will face together. It is the sealing of a new pact, one written not in ink, but in the undeniable truth of our connection. When he pulls away, he rests his forehead against mine, his breath warm on my skin. There will be dangers, he murmurs. My world is not a kind one. I'm not afraid, I say, and for the first time, it's the absolute truth. I look into his dark eyes, no longer seeing a monster or a king, but a man who would tear down the world for his family, and I realize, with a sudden, shocking clarity, that I am now a part of that family. I, Natalie Donovan, the invisible waitress, had found my place. It wasn't in the light, but in the protective, possessive, and surprisingly warm shadows of Dante Moretti's world. I had found his daughter, and in doing so, I had found my home. I never imagined that one phone call from the back office of a greasy diner would lead me here. I never imagined that a little girl's trust, sticky curls, trembling hands would pull me straight into the heart of the city's darkest legend. I walked into Dante Moretti's world thinking I was saving his daughter, but somewhere between that cold phone receiver and the warm weight of Sofia's smile, something in me shifted too. I'm still afraid. Only a fool wouldn't be. His world is sharp edges and whispered threats, a place where storms wear suits and smiles hide knives. But for the first time in a long time, my life isn't gray. It's dangerous, yes, but it's also full of purpose and light and a small girl who laughs again when she thinks no one is listening. If you've been with me through this, thank you. Tell me in the comments, would you have made the call or walked away? Like this video if your heart raced with mine. Subscribe and ring the bell for the next dark love story, and until next time, keep your heart brave, your choices your own, and never underestimate where one act of kindness can take you.